Hey everybody, and welcome back to check out this flick. As you can see, I got a new arrangement behind me. My roommate moved out. I decided to take over their room, so it gives me more space to kind of do what I want to do. But we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about 2004's Shaun of the Dead. Oh yeah, baby! This movie, it's amazing. I remember seeing it in theaters and instantly loved it. Instant classic for me. I just walked out quoting it, loving almost everything about it. The movie's written by Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, and it is Edgar Wright's feature film debut, which is pretty sweet because he knocks it out of the park. And it has a cast, of Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Bill Nye, and a handful of other awesome British actors. Right, so I guess let's just kind of delve into it, right? Right out of the gate, we find out that Shaun is pretty stuck in his life, right? Literally the opening scene, it's his girlfriend Liz, and she's kind of talking to him and he's zoning out, like not really paying attention to her. We find out that her friends are there and they don't really like him, but his best friend's there and, he's there for support. He loves that dude, Ed. So, yeah. Then, he promises things are going to change, things are going to get better. So the following day, he promises to take her out to an awesome restaurant. But unfortunately for good guy Shaun he forgets to set the reservation. What ends up happening is his girlfriend, ends up leaving him. And then him and Ed get a little tanked at the old Winchester. And they end up back at their place where their roommate Pete comes down and he's annoyed and a little angry. At their techno music. It wasn't hip hop. And he just, really chews Shaun out, and Ed for that matter. And they find out that he also got bit and he doesn't know that he's turning. But also, he reminds Shaun that he left the front door open again. Jump cut to the following day. Shaun decides, I am going to change my life. I need to get back with Liz. I need to figure out things with my mom and just sort my life out, right? Little does he know that overnight the zombie apocalypse apparently decided to kick in. So he goes to the little corner store, and that whole sequence is awesome. Just a one-track shot where he's walking. The neighborhood is in disarray. People are dead on the street. Random cars are broken and alarms going off, and he is just not paying attention to it. Hung over, walking to the market, slips on blood, misses the smeared blood on the glass, and he makes it safely back to his apartment, only to find his BFF Ed watching the girl in the garden. So they go and check on her, and she turns out to be the first Zed that they run into. They have to put her down, unfortunately, and they go back inside and regroup and watch the news and realize that this is happening on a massive scale, right? Things are just going crazy everywhere, at least in the UK. Because they did actually leave the front door open, another time a zombie happens to sneak in right behind them, and they go into crisis mode and have to kill it, essentially. Eventually they do. They learn, damage the brain, and so they decide to handle some other zombies that made it into their backyard, and they go to town. So they handle them pretty good, and after they handle that, they decide, we need a plan. We need to get our friends together. We need to get Mom, and we need to find a place to just settle in and wait this whole thing to blow over, right? So what do they decide? They decide to go to the Winchester. Oh yeah, baby. So first they have to go and get Barbara and, kill Phil. Sorry, Phil. But they get there and find out Phil is actually very much alive still. They decide to all go and get Liz. So they get over there, and Shaun, has to take out a few Zeds out front, and he makes the heroic climb up to her loft and convinces Liz and her friends, Dave and Diane. Dave looking like Harry Potter, just me, I don't know. He looks like an adult Harry Potter guy to me. Anyway, and he convinces them to take them all and go to the Winchester. They agree with him because he seems like he's a man with a plan now. He seems focused. He knows what he wants, right? Shaun's coming around. So they all jump into the car and they start heading towards the Winchester. But Ed decides to kind of take a leisure drive in Phil's car, and things start turning south because Phil ends up dying in the car, and so they have to pull over, ditch the car, leave Phil, and all he wanted was the radio to shut off, right? Ed was just bumping it way too loud. Anyway, now they have to zigzag through the neighborhoods, and while that's happening, we get a little Martin Freeman cameo, right? That's kind of wild. I mean, that was way before he was even famous or anything like that, so that was kind of cool. And then they start going through the backyards, and Barbara, Shaun's mom, thinks that she knows one of the yards that they're in and knows the neighbors, but turns out she doesn't, and she accidentally gets bit. Oh no! And what's even worse is that she keeps it from the group. Oh man, that really gets me. I hate it when that one person who's bit keeps it from the group. Oh, it's never good. Anyway, Shaun ends up destroying the zombie. Actually, he doesn't destroy the zombie, does he? He pushes a pole into it and gets it stuck into a tree, where Diane and her acting lessons come forward, and she pretty much coaches them on all how to be a zombie, because they need to maneuver through a horde of zombies that's between them and the Winchester. So they make their way doing their zombie impressions. Right? And they make it there, but doors are locked. They have no way to get in, and now they're starting to cause a ruckus. Zombies are turning, noticing them. Ed has his phone on him, and somebody calls him for a little bit of weed deal, which he's completely dry. He has none. So really, that conversation didn't need to happen outside of, all the zombies turning and now just hunger for their flesh. So Dave, smart guy Dave, decides to break a window so that everybody can get in, but you know what that means, right? Then all the zombies will get in right after them once they go in. So our hero Shaun decides to take things into his own hands and just catches all the zombies' attention and starts running around the block. He has to just take the horde and move them somewhere else so that, the rest of the group can securely get inside without zombies following them in. So, jump cut, a couple hours later, everyone's inside, they're all waiting, they all assume Shaun's dead, he hasn't shown up. But then, what? Out of nowhere, he arrives. Shaun, checking in, everyone's happy he's there. Then, he gave them the slip, right? He gave the zombies the slip. Or did he? But he gives them the slip, they're hanging out, and the power comes back on throughout the area. So he decides to, hit the breakers, see what's up, see if they can find something on the old TV. And when he's flipping breakers, he turns on the back light and sees that the horde is actually at the back door. So they decide we gotta keep it extra quiet. But another mess up on Ed's part. Ed decides to play, I think it's like a gambling game, right? He wins a bunch of quarters or something like that. And it causes such a loud ruckus that all of a sudden the horde is just surrounding the Winchester. And that's when things start going downhill pretty quickly. I love the bit where, the queen comes on and the bar owner comes down from upstairs and they're like beating him with the pool stick, right, to the beat of the song. Oh man, I love that part. Then eventually Ed finds the gun behind the bar, gives it to Shaun, and realizes like, oh, he doesn't think the gun has any bullets in it or anything like that, or shells, I should say, any shells in it. Then he realizes, oh yeah, there's totally shells in it, and the gun works. Let's go. So then some of the horde starts breaking in through the windows and stuff like that. So they all start to decide, all right, all of us are going to take turns with the gun, shooting at the zombies trying to come in. Meanwhile, Liz is over with Barbara, trying to move her to a safe spot, and that's when Liz finds out that Shaun's mom, good Barbara, is bit. So then Shaun makes his way over, finds out, oh my god, my mom's a bit. And yeah, that's when things go topsy-turvy. She ends up dying, obviously, because she's going to turn into a zombie. That's, you get that, you turn, you die, right? There's no way around it. So that happens. But then David decides, I'm just going to shoot your zombie mom. I mean, I know his intentions, right? They're in the right place, but he's kind of a dick about it. And so there's like a good old-fashioned Mexican standoff sort of thing where Shaun wants to kill David. David wants to kill Shaun. Diane thinks it's unfair, so she has a glass to Shaun's neck. And then Ed has, I think it's a corkscrew, right? On Dave's neck. Oh, I love that bit. Then everybody calms down. But David makes a grave mistake of getting too close to the window, and whoops-a-daisy, they break in, pull him out rather, and oh man, one of, it's a zombie death for the books, right? It's like right out of Dawn of the Dead. He is just getting his intestines ripped out, his legs flinging, zombies just chewing on his arms, all that crazy stuff. It's such an awesome death. Yeah. So then Diane, I don't know what she's thinking, but she decides, like, I got to go out there and get him, even though she literally just saw him get ripped apart. But she goes out into the horde, disappears into it, and we don't, questionable what happens to her, I suppose, unless you see the special features and you find out that she actually lives. But, yeah. From there, Liz, Ed, and Shaun try to hold the fort. They're shooting off zombies left and right, trying to keep things calm, which is failing real fast. But then they all end up behind the bar. Oh, that's what ends up happening. Roommate Pete turned into a zombie through all this, and he is there at the Winchester, and he bites BFF Ed. Oh man, a nasty neck bite, and I believe an arm bite too, from a different zombie. But they all end up behind the bar, and they find a little hatch that goes down to a basement. So they all decide to go down there after setting the bar on fire. And then they're down in the basement, just kind of waiting for the inevitable, thinking they're all going to die. And then there is just this little service hatch up to the street. So Ed decides to stay because he is bit and he knows what happens. He's going to turn, unfortunately. So Shaun, gives him his last smoke and leaves him on his deathbed, so to speak, or, death staircase. Did he stand at the bottom of the stairs? And so they get up and they're like, oh boy, here we go. We're about to, Liz and Shaun, that is, they are thinking they're probably going to have to fight off this horde all by them lonesomes. And then boom, next thing you know, British Army is mowing down zombies, just blowing them away. And voila, they're saved, which is cool. Our hero makes it with the girl. That's awesome. Jump cut, I don't know, a couple months later or so, and Liz and Shaun are living together. How romantic. And, they're coming up with plans of what they're going to do for the day. And Shaun wants to pop out to the garden, to the shed real quick. 2 seconds. And he heads out there, and, his BFF Ed is in the shed. And he's chained up, and he has his video games in there so that he can keep himself entertained. And that's where it ends. He's still able to be BFFs with his old mate Ed. That's one of the things I want to talk about is how awesome and genuine is that bromance. I mean, apparently in real life, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost were actually like roommates and friends in real life. So that's why their dynamic just works real well in that movie. They're just awesome together, right? They made 3 movies together, 4 movies, I think, if you count that Paul movie or whatever. Then the zombies. the zombies. The zombies are a little different in this one. I mean, they're your stereotypical Romero zombies, so to speak. A little slow, kind of dumb, just noises. But they also keep some form of memory, don't they? Yeah. They remember places they've gone. They kind of recognize certain people, and apparently they can be trained to do miscellaneous labor work because that's what they do with them in the end, right? So that's a little different, but you know, it adds to the humor with some of it, and that's kind of cool. I just want to talk about the editing in this movie. The editing in this movie, a lot of quick cuts, a lot of awesome like boom, boom, boom transitions, and that just is the norm for Edgar Wright and his movies. All of his movies have awesome editors, and there's just like a flow to a lot of his movies as well. And obviously, this is the first movie he's done where that's there, and it's just a staple to almost any Edgar Wright movie. I mean, outside of that, this movie is great, right? I mean, you can't go wrong with this movie at all, especially watching it in 4K Steelbook. Oh, God, it looks so gorgeous. I loved it. That and the movie's so quotable. It's super quotable. I mean, I was quoting this movie all throughout this entire episode. So, yeah, I don't know. I know there's a few people, I don't think I've met anybody that's ever said they hated this movie. Most part, almost everybody loves it. I've met a few people that have been hesitant to actually watch it for some reason. I don't know what they think. A lot of them think it's going to be more of a romantic movie than an actual like horror comedy, which, I mean, there are a lot of moments where it is, you know, a little romantic, but it's not much, right? Most of it is comedy. Most of it's about the bromance. Most of it's about the zombies. So if you haven't checked out this flick, I highly recommend you do so very soon. Awesome. Well, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, you know, all those good things, and check out this flick sometime soon. Take it easy.